Hey, this is Jen Tinline from stampwithjen.com. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable little family card using a new stamp set from the Stampin' Up! Occasions catalog called Family and Friends. You're going to find it on page 50 of this Occasions catalog, and if you don't have one of these catalogs already and you're Canadian and you don't have a demonstrator, let me know and I'll get it for you. This stamp set is adorable. It's got all these pieces to make people. It's got different hair and faces. It's even got a cat and a dog. It's so sweet. And then there's some lovely little sayings in there as well. It's even got a little pair of glasses. Very cute. So these are the pieces you're going to need. And if you want to get the exact measurements and what exactly they are, just go to my website, stampwithjen.com, and I'll list all of the supplies and measurements for you. Just look for this project on my blog, and in the post you will see the link for the handout and just click on it to save it. I'm starting with the 3 bodies lined up on one block just to make it easier to stamp multiples, which I did. I used this card for a demonstrator swap. You notice that I inked the stamp upside down just because I found when I just tried to tap it on a stamp pad, I didn't get enough ink on all 3 parts. So inking it upside down just ensures that you get ink on all those parts. And then I stamped the cute little baby. And now I'm going to work on each face one by one. And I started with the dad, and I decided to make him a hipster dad with a beard. And you just have to, with the photopolymer, it's so easy. You can see right to line up. And you're going to use this piece here to build the bottom half of the face for both the mom and the little boy. And then the dad, I chose to give him this hair. Again, super easy to line up. Now the mom, her hair is a little trickier because it's longer, and if you're not careful, she's going to look like a bearded lady, so you want to make sure that you get that hair below the face line. And then the little boy, I gave him some spiky hair. And then the mom and the son's face, once I figured out their positioning, I just left both face images on the block. So again, I could stamp that quickly when I was making these for a demonstrator swap. It just took like 2 times to try and line them up. And there's lots of little different face shapes that you can use. And then there's these cute little stripes that you can make, a stripe on her dress or whatever you want. So I've given the little boy a couple stripes on his shirt. So then what you want to do is you want to put this aside for a couple minutes to dry before you start coloring it. So I'm going to start with the dark Bermuda Bay blends, and I'm going to use it to color both the pants on the dad and the pants on the little boy. So I'm just speeding some of this up so I don't bore you with all the coloring. I'm using dark Pineapple Punch for the dad's shirt. Just coloring that all in well. I'm going to slow this one down to real time when I'm coloring the mom's dress. And that's because I want to point out a couple things. First of all, it's such a teeny tiny area here. I love the little brush tip for that. You almost just kind of float it over top in order to get that color on there without going out of the lines. And then I like to do like an outline on my images and then color them in. And don't be afraid to turn your piece around so you can get at it and see better. Don't you just love how these blends they blend nicely? There's no streaking or anything like that. And then I'm going to use Granny Apple Green on the little boy's shirt. And I'll use Highland Heather to color in the little baby's outfit. Now all of these colors are picked so that they match the designer paper that we're using. Now I'm going to use the ivory marker, and I'm going to use it to color in all the skin colors on every person here. There are other ways you can color skin. There's actually a bronze marker as well, and there's of course light crumb cake. I mean, you can pretty much make any color of skin that you want to. I'm just keeping these guys ivory, and then I'll add a little bit of a touch of some blush to both the baby and the mom's cheeks. I'll use the dark petal pink to add a little bit of color. And I decided to add it to the little boy's face, and then I blended it out with ivory, so he just ended up being darker altogether. And a little bit of highlight blush for the mom, and then I thought I would let it dry for a few minutes to see what it looks like. So you may notice here that I made a little boo-boo outside the line, so just slow this down so you can see. I'm taking my color lifter and just going back and forth, and then eventually that leaked out color leaves. So I'm now using light crumb cake to start coloring the hair and the beard on the dad and the little baby and some shoes. And then I'm going to use the dark petal pink just to give the dad's lips a little bit more definition. And then I'm going to use the dark crumb cake for some shoes. And I see I forgot some hands there. I'll go back and fix that in a second. So, and then some hair, and make the little boy's hair match the mom's hair. And just going back in and fixing up a few things here, trying to blend her blush out a little bit more, add a little bit more color to the baby's cheeks. Now, one final step I like to do when I have people, especially, is I like to ground them. So adding a little bit of color underneath so they don't look like they're floating in the air. So this is light smoky slate, and I'm just scribbling some down with the bullet tip and then blending it out with the color lifter so it's more faded looking. And I only did a couple of times just so that it doesn't dry up on me too fast, because I want to be able to blend that out. And doesn't that look more realistic that they're sitting on the ground or standing on the ground? Okay, it's time to put this card together. So remember, all the materials and dimensions are in a handout that you can grab on my website, stampwithjenn.com, and just look for the picture of this card on under my blog, and then in the post itself will be all the measurements. Now, when I do a piece of designer paper like this, often there's a little hangover piece which you just want to trim off. Just flip it over so you can see to trim off any excess. Now I'm going to wrap the ribbon around this card piece, so I'm going to put a little bit more tape than I usually do, just to make sure there's enough for the ribbon to grip to. And this is this beautiful Coastal Cabana Granny Apple Green ribbon, so it would look good either way on this card, but I preferred the blue side. So I'm just going to wrap that around the front, and then I'm going to make sure there is enough tape on the back to hold this, because of course now I've got that extra little piece holding on there. And that goes on the front. What I do is I kind of position it first, make sure it's lined up, and then I give it a good rub to cement it down. Now I cut this piece, this Coastal Cabana piece, with the stitched shape framelits, the rectangle ones, new in the Occasions catalog. So again, you can see the item number for those on the handout that I have. So I'm going to add this little piece here, also done with one of the stitch shape rectangles, and I was able to get 2 out of 1 piece, which is kind of nice. And it just says "From All of Us," which is perfect for a card with a bunch of people on it. So I just position that right below the frame, just almost like a little tag that's hanging down. And then I'm going to use dimensionals to pop this piece up, and I'll also use them to help secure that little tag. So I always like to do one in the corner and then maybe one in the middle so that the piece doesn't sort of sag in the middle. And those just peel off. They're double-sided and they're sticky on both sides. And then I'm going to position that on the front of my card. And we're done. Be sure to come back to stampwithjenn.com often for other tips, tricks, and ideas. Thanks for watching.